Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. The next hour is all about the entrepreneur, why they start businesses, how they make their businesses grow, how they overcome failures and achieve success. Your host, Bob Gibbons, founder of Riata Commercial Realty, a commercial real estate advisory and tenant advocacy firm. Bob will ask probing questions to find impactful solutions that will help take your business to the next level. And now, here's Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to The Next Level. Today I'm excited because we're talking to the founders of Buck-Brush Company, and it's a little bit different because normally we have people come into the show and they are all in on their company. They're full-time. They've raised money from investors in some cases. But today our story is more about keeping your day job while also being an entrepreneur. And that's a whole different level of commitment because you have no other time to do anything. So today we have with us Jordan Musser and Ash Merhyari, and they are the founders of Buck-Brush. And Buck-Brush is a subscription toothbrush company, and we're going to learn more about that. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start off with a day job. So Jordan, what do you do every day during the day?
I'm an executive in the tech industry.
Okay.
I have an engineering background, engineering degree, and we basically produce commercial LED lighting products for like warehousing, distribution centers, things like that. So I'm responsible for basically everything to do with the product side of the business and running the business.
Wow, that sounds like a big job just
Yeah,
by
it
itself.
is. But also that experience over the last 8 years has given me the tools we need to be successful at something like Buck-Brush. I think without the background that I have on the technical side with engineering, then most recently running the business, understanding financials and things, I'm able to not only articulate to investors, but also actually run the business properly each day with maybe fewer resources, in this case time, because I have a day job.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm doing. I don't have, I can just execute with Buck-Brush.
Are you a principal in that other company?
So it's a huge company. It's a $26 billion, 200,000 employee company.
So I hope the answer is yes.
No, not what I wish. But no, I am leadership for our business unit.
I got you.
I'm
Okay.
kind of second in command, if you will, of our business, about a $40 to $50 million business.
Okay.
So I am responsible for the B&L.
Cool. So Ash, tell us about you.
I also have an engineering background. I just don't use it anymore. I am a partner at a litigation boutique here in Dallas, and I'm an attorney.
Okay. So what you're doing litigation, but every kind of,
Our firm is full service. I don't necessarily do everything. I've been doing a lot more commercial litigation. I started out initially at the DA's office. I got some trial experience, and when I first got out of the DA's office, I was doing criminal defense, and then my firm when I joined my firm, I've been transitioning more towards business development and a lot more civil litigation.
So how did you guys get together? And were you already friends, or how did you decide?
For the business, yeah, we've been kind of on and off, kind of weird internet friends, I guess, for a while, and then we ended up moving to the same city. And I guess how long have we known each other for?
Probably 15 years.
Yeah, and I guess we ran into each other at track day.
Yeah. So we were both, we got to know each other originally because we were both engineers doing motorsports a long time ago, and we kind of were introduced to each other, I guess, the best way is to put it, through the internet. And then one day we were both at the racetrack together. I saw him out there testing and tuning. I said, geez, I hadn't talked to him in 4 years. And I just looked him up on Facebook, and I was like, hey, Jordan, were you at Eagles Canyon Racetrack last weekend? And he was like, yeah, I was. And then, so we got together, and that was probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Nice. So Jordan, I know you have been or are a professional race car driver. Ash, are you as well?
No, I was never a professional. I kind of just did it amateur and for fun. My career in engineering I did a lot of motorsports work. I designed race cars and things like that. So I was kind of on the other side of it. I was making the cars that Jordan was driving, or people like Jordan were driving.
Okay. So tell me about being a race car driver. That sounds like it would be a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't pay that well, though. Contrary to most people's belief, racing is a very difficult sport to stay in if you want to do it for a living. Most of the opportunities you see of people driving on TV, a lot of that's actually funded by that person's family or the family's business, something along those lines. It's not a coincidence that a lot of the sponsors' names are the same as the driver's last name. And I didn't have that luxury. I was fortunate enough to have a relatively successful career, considering I actually was doing it on a budget or trying to do it for a true living. At the time, actually, that Ashton and I met, I was driving full-time professionally. So that was an awesome part of my life. I was in a race car for 16 hours. Well, the car was on track for 16 hours. I was in the car about 5 of that this past weekend as a paid professional driver. So I still have an opportunity on occasion to drive. I still do what's called a shifter kart, which is kind of a amateur racing, but at a very high level. I travel the United States and do that when I can. So
now wait a minute, the shifter, those little open wheel cars with
exactly.
the big fin thing on the top, and they slide around sideways?
No, so I run all road course racing, which is so it's on concrete and it's left turn and right turn. So in the U.S., NASCAR is very popular. So everybody thinks race cars, I think circles. So but what I do is called road racing, and basically it's a course that's set out and has both left turns and right turns and straightaways and a little bit of everything. So
that sounds like a lot more fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes down to it. That's at first as long as the competition is good, it's fun. I mean, I've raced everything from a 100 horsepower car to 700 to 800 horsepower cars, and as long as the competition is good, that's where the most fun is. I've literally had the most fun driving 100 horsepower cars because there's a really close, tight field, and I enjoy good, fair competition. I'd rather, maybe this is poor choice of words, I'd almost rather finish second, but have a great race and have 10 guys that are fast than just have a car that's better than everybody else. I just drive away from the field. Yeah. That's not what competition is about. So.
Yeah, I agree. I used to play a lot of racquetball, and there was one guy I played with a lot. He was about 6 inches taller than I was, and just enough better to where we had a really good competitive game, but he would win 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5 often games, and it was great for me because it was a good workout. It was always challenging, and it was a lot more fun than if I was always winning.
When you get better, you only rise to the level of your competition.
Yeah.
So if you're always winning, you just won't ever get better. You'll literally stay at that level. And then you go maybe move on to a higher level of the sport, and then you get creamed. But if you're always competing against guys that are slightly better, and you will just always continually get better.
Interesting. So we had Trevor Seeley on the show a while back from White Pants Agency. He's the one that introduced us to you. And so he was a race car driver as well.
This is random. Like, I mean, our business relationships with Ashkin and Trevor really have nothing to do with anything motorsport related. Is kind of funny. That just happens to be a common thread. It wasn't even, like with Trevor, we found that out later after meeting him. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't how we met. He was racing maybe 2005, 2006, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, quite a while ago. So it actually had remarkably nothing to do with the introduction, but then, of course, we have had many whiskeys and talked about racing and all that kind of stuff, and definitely some smack talk around.
Hopefully
too,
after the race.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely after the race. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was funny because I originally met with Brian and not Trevor. Trevor was out of town. And when we were kind of having this, hey, who are you, who am I, he told me that Trevor raced. And I thought, racing is just a small world. I thought there's no way that Trevor and Jordan don't know each other. If they both live in Dallas, they both raced. But they just raced 2 very different circuits.
And he was on the East Coast, too, mostly.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at first I thought, man, I can't believe these 2 didn't know each other. But, yeah, we got introduced by a completely, I don't know how to say it, non-automotive, non-motorsports-related friend between the 2 of us because we were looking for some marketing help and bouncing around between different agencies that we, some were okay and some were not so okay. But we never found that great one, and we were trying to just find it, and that's how we got introduced to them. Someone said, hey, I've got this friend, Brian, over there at White Pants, and that's how we got introduced.
Nice. Well, so where did the idea for Buckbrush come from? And I guess before we even get there, Jordan, what is Buckbrush?
Buckbrush is basically a $1 per month subscription service where you get a replacement head for a Sonic-type toothbrush each month for $1. And this toothbrush head works on our proprietary handle, we call it, which would be the vibrating portion of it. And you purchase that as a one-time cost for $35. So basically an upfront cost of $35, and then for $1 a month you receive a fresh, clean head. And that we ship those in a pack of 4 to reduce shipping waste and things like that. So it's really every 4 months you get 4 for $4.
Okay. Now, you were kind enough to send one to me in advance, so I've been using it.
Good.
And
teeth look great. Never look better.
Yeah. So it was not what I expected it was going to be. I guess I had the mistaken thought that all electric toothbrush, the heads of them like spun in a circle, and this one just vibrates.
Right.
But
High frequency.
I've never used an electric toothbrush before in my life.
Okay.
So this was my first experience. So I really don't have anything to compare it to. But
Right.
I mean, it feels when I'm done like I've been to the dentist almost.
Yeah, and that's one of the key points is that a good high quality sonic type toothbrush is really expensive until we came along. So it's not fair that someone that can't afford a $200 toothbrush shouldn't have that feeling. And also, oral hygiene is directly connected to cardiovascular health. So in reality, we're offering something that really will save lives for those that can't afford to buy the $200, name brand, Sonicare, all that stuff, Oral-B. So that is one of the things that we're really proud of, is that we actually are not only we have a business in place, but it's going to open the door for lower income families to have good oral hygiene, which is more than white teeth. It's more than looking good. It's also total body health.
Right. So where did the idea come from to do this?
It was really Ashton's, kind of first. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I would never spend $200 on a toothbrush, but I have like 3 dentists or 4 dentists in my family, and one of them got me Sonicare's super high-end toothbrush, and I just noticed it reminded me a lot of when I was in college, and when we're shaving and using the razors, and you just try to get every last bit of them because they were $12 back then or whatever they were really expensive. And I just remember taking the toothbrush head off, just thinking like, man, like there goes another $15. Like,
it's a
like,
piece of plastic. Yeah, that's all it is.
And as an engineer, I knew what the cost of this thing was. Like this head doesn't cost $13 to make or $10 to make. And I was also a subscriber of Dollar Shave Club. So it was just one of those things where I'm sitting there looking at my Sonicare toothbrush that was $200 with a $15 head or whatever it was, and I'm looking at my Dollar Shave Club subscription, and I think I just literally texted Jordan and I said, "Hey, why do toothbrush heads cost $15? Why hasn't someone done this for $1 or $2?" And then we started looking into it, and he has a lot of contract manufacturing contacts and experience. So between the two of us, we got together and started just crunching the numbers, wondering, will this work or will this not work? And we're still trying to figure that out.
I mean, it was clear that it was a market that had an opportunity. In my opinion, the product was mispriced. Clearly you can buy a cell phone that you can access the world with for $200, and yet why should a toothbrush cost $200? So we knew that there was an opportunity there from a product standpoint, and we're just looking forward to finding out how we'd fit into that.
Cool. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. We're talking to Jordan and Ash. They're the founders of Buckbrush. And by the way, I failed to mention that you can find Buckbrush at buckbrushco.com.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Or we also have a Facebook, same thing, facebook.com/buckbrushco.
Okay, cool. So we were just starting to talk about where the idea came from, and it was Jordan saying, why can I buy my Dollar Shave Club razor for $1, but my head of my expensive toothbrush is $15? That seems crazy. So sounds like you kind of, had a personal reason, but you also sound like you have a bigger sort of, I don't know what the right word is. You want to do something better for society by doing this, make it available to a wider range of people.
I mean, at first, Ashton saw the opportunity and kind of connected the dots between what Dollar Shave Club had done and how much of a parallel that would be to a dollar razor versus a dollar head for a toothbrush. And then when we started talking, he was asking me, hey, can we go do this and maybe do heads for Sonicare? I said, well, why don't we just do the whole thing? There's a bigger opportunity there. Selling heads for $1 would be a very challenging business for in the long haul. Obviously, there's add-on products and upsells and things that we're working on as well. But from an investment standpoint, a cash flow standpoint, it's nice to have those $35 sales to help fund marketing and all the other things that have to happen to have a successful business. And so as we started to grow and do this, I started researching health benefits of brushing your teeth and other ways we could market the product for those that maybe didn't have an electric toothbrush. Because people have bought a $200 toothbrush probably aren't going to go buy a $35 toothbrush unless they really just want to. Clearly, they've already invested in Sonicare, and they're probably going to stick with it until it breaks. But a bigger market is those that don't use electric toothbrushes. I mean, clearly, most of the market does not. Or use very, very cheap ones, like little battery-operated toys. And so we started looking at what are the other benefits of brushing your teeth properly or with a high-quality toothbrush. And although we haven't done the studies ourselves, so we don't necessarily market to this as much as we like to because we have to back it up. There are plenty of studies out there clearly indicating that bacteria and other things in your mouth will affect your heart. And so it is an opportunity for us to really improve the health of a large portion of the population that probably doesn't even think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard that the best way to prevent other problems in your body and your life and illness is to brush your teeth and have good oral hygiene. So I think I've heard similar things to what you were alluding to just now, but is there evidence that says that using an electric toothbrush is any better or has any better health benefits than using just a regular handheld toothbrush?
I consult my lawyer. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we have to make some kind of disclaimer that we're not making these claims or anything like that. But if you're asking if there are studies out there that electric toothbrushes, yes, absolutely. I mean, Sonicare certainly done theirs, and it probably says it all over their box, right? That removes X% more plaque, does this, does that. And pretty much all those big companies do that. Again, I think we have a legal disclaimer that we're not saying that's us, but yes, electric toothbrushes in general have been linked to much better oral health, which translates to total body health.
Okay. Now, the other thing is you've mentioned the word sonic a few times. So is there a difference between a sonic electric toothbrush and a non-sonic electric toothbrush?
Sonic just refers to a certain sound range, and it has to do with the RPM of the toothbrush and such. The biggest we don't use that term in our marketing materials because of obviously the potential as a trademark brand for Sonicare. But
we mean reciprocating. When
reciprocating. Yeah, if I say reciprocating head, it makes less sense to laymen. They understand Sonic. They understand that a little better. But there are really two type of toothbrush heads. There's oscillating or reciprocating, and then there's rotating. And you're more experienced with the rotating. And my research, the research we've done when we're looking at toothbrushes, is that the sonic type or the oscillating type do work better. But for us, part of our go-to-market strategy or our marketing strategy is cleanliness. So we have a low cost, yes, that's part of it, but low-cost marketing strategies usually don't work very well. There's got to be more to it. So we mentioned health, but also clean. Clean is part of health, but also you have germaphobes that maybe being a germaphobe doesn't actually make you healthier, but they sure think it does. So, being able to obviously replace the head each month, but the rotating style toothbrush heads have more moving parts. So you'll get a bunch of debris in those moving parts. And it really grosses out the neat freak types. And so if you look at our head, there's no moving parts. It's bristles and a solid piece of plastic, just like you'd have a manual toothbrush. So there's no places for bits of food to stay and stick. And that's one of the advantages of an oscillating toothbrush, one that vibrates, is that all of the mechanical action is done in the handle itself. And because of the mass of the handle is so large, even though it theory could be vibrating if you held the head, it doesn't. The lighter head vibrates. So all the vibrations actually happening in your hand, but it causes the head to vibrate because it's 100 times lighter than the body itself.
Gotcha. So is there any advice on how long you're supposed to be using it? I mean, when I start using it, am I supposed to use it for 30 seconds, 3 minutes? I mean, what?
2 minutes is the general rule of thumb for how long you should use your toothbrush. And one of the biggest benefits actually is there's something about staring yourself in the mirror. Time doesn't go by very quickly for most people. So I can't remember what the exact number was, but it was like second. So the average person, when they use a manual toothbrush, uses their toothbrush for a couple of seconds, like 15 seconds.
Oh my!
And they think that I've gotten every part of my mouth. I've brushed here, and 5 seconds on each quadrant, and cool, I've got to 20 seconds. But what our toothbrush does is it vibrates for 2 minutes, but every 30 seconds it gives a pause. So you know that you've done one quadrant in 30 seconds and then another quadrant in 30 seconds, and you go all the way around. Oh. And this way you've gotten a really thorough clean that we use at 2 minutes that I think a lot of dentists recommend, and maybe the American Dental Association recommends.
I think we just busted Bob. I don't think you read the instructions.
Yeah.
You totally busted me because I'm sitting there using it. I'm thinking it paused. And I'm thinking, oh, did I push the wrong thing?
What's funny is that I did a lot of our customer feedback in the beginning just because I wanted a really good touch and feel for what are people saying. We didn't want to get to a marketing agency and then have them send it back to us. I kind of wanted that direct feedback, at least for the first 6 months to a year. So every message that we got on Facebook and whatnot and complaint, one of the two of us handled. So oftentimes both of us handled.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the same time, which got a little tricky. But we got a couple of people saying, I think mine's broken. It keeps pausing in the middle. So, and we'd explain to them, and it would be like, oh, wow, that's enlightening.
And I did not read the instructions because, I mean, it's so simple. I mean, there's a base. You put the handle on the base, and it charges, and you have the place for the two heads, and you just stick that on there. And, I mean, what do I need to read instructions for? It's just so obvious.
I'm an engineer. I never read instructions, so I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm busted. So, but it also means I'm not doing it long enough because I need to. It only is pausing once before I'm done. So I'm probably doing it for about half the time I should.
Very common, and that's like I said, what Ashkin meant to the timer's for is when the toothbrush turns off, you've completed your brushing, and the quadrant timing allows you to not get stuck too long on one because you're waiting. You're waiting. How long do I wait? As long as you move every time you hear the pause, you'll be finishing on the last quadrant when the last 2 minutes is up.
I didn't know it went off by itself. So, all right.
Strangely, we've had a lot of dental hygienists get really excited about this and like corner us at parties. We've been cornered at multiple parties, like talking us about like what we need to do and why it's good and why
I don't
it's
see
not.
any wedding rings, so I can't see that.
Totally
bad.
Still clear.
Long-time girlfriend, so I don't get slapped when I get home.
You probably get Jordan in a lot of trouble, but. And they would tell us, like, one of them told me that people will favor, I think it's like the opposite side of whatever your dominant hand is. So whatever hand you brush your teeth with, you'll favor the other side because that's just kind of a more natural, place to put the toothbrush. So they love the 30 seconds aside because they'll say, like, a lot of times we'll look at someone's teeth and they're, all the cavities will be on this side or all the plaque buildup will be on one side. And I think it was the inside of this hand that you favor is where you have the most plaque buildup because it's like the most awkward place to reach.
Interesting.
This forces you to spend that 30 seconds in the most awkward area and speeds you along if you're spending too much time in there. It doesn't help.
Interesting. All right. Now that I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Thank you. Learn something new.
Just think about how great your teeth are going to look now.
That's great. My dentist is going to be very happy. You're welcome, Dr. Fine. All right. So let's get to the nitty gritty. You get this idea. What do you do first? How do you start with a product business?
So that was actually almost the easier part for us. I have a product development background. I've done contract manufacturing. I've dealt with vendors in Asia, which is clearly where you have to buy something like this. So that part actually wasn't super difficult. I think for us, it was finding the right maybe product. Because again, we're engineers, so what we like, the majority of the population probably won't like because we're kind of odd. So we actually use a lot of some of your coworkers, some of my friends, my girlfriend and all her friends, because she's more artistic, and so kind of the opposite of me. And so we used our friends as guinea pigs, and we bought samples of a wide range of manufacturers who do this for a living. They make toothbrushes for all of the big companies. We stuck with obviously kind of tier one manufacturers, but they have a wide range of portfolio products, and then you can make changes to them, obviously, for your brand and so on and so forth, or change the look, change the plastic injection molding. But the technology is already developed, and it's not rocket science.
Okay.
So we got a wide range of options and started testing them for reliability and the kind of normal stuff. But the more important thing, I think, for us, because, again, it didn't come intuitively, was to get other people involved and get their feedback. And I think we had like 9 out of 10 preferred the one that we ended up going with.
Yeah, it was kind of a blend of both because there are definitely some that people would like the look of, but we could tell just from the way our experience, right? I mean, we both developed manufactured product, and like I knew like one of the ones we looked at, I said this one looks the best and this one's kind of sexy, but like this is not going to last. Like this part of it's not going to last, or I can tell just by the noise it makes that this is going to be something that's going to wear out quickly. Whatever it might be, I can't remember what it was, but this part isn't going to last that long. And there were just certain other things. It was, okay, the battery on this one I know is going to last longer. Now we couldn't wait a year to launch this thing because just keep using the battery, see which one. But you could tell. I mean, it's lithium ion. So at the end of the day, is more battery. It's going to last longer. It's going to go through less cycles. So not only will it last longer between charges, but it'll last more charges, if that makes sense. You can recharge it more times.
So how many different product options did you have to test before you arrived at the one you liked?
Probably 8 or 10.
Maybe more.
Okay. So
yeah, we focused in on 8 or 10 probably.
Yeah.
I reviewed hundreds, but then I started diving into the company background and realized that they weren't a long-term partner. I didn't want to partner with someone that could ship me 1,000 a month if they couldn't ship 10,000 a month.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our threshold. Our target was we need a company that today can ship 10,000 a month.
Interesting. All right, we're going to take one more quick break. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty. If your office lease is going to be expiring in the next year or two, the one thing I would tell you definitely do not want to do is exercise a renewal option. Now, that may sound a little nuts. When you negotiate for that renewal option, why wouldn't you actually want to use it? Well, the reason is because while you want to have one as a reservation for your space so the landlord can't lease the space out from under you, that option may not actually work the way you want it to now. It may have made sense 5 years ago, but it doesn't today. The only thing that changes when you exercise a renewal option are the expiration date and the rent. But you may want to do other things like have another option to renew, have an option to terminate or expand. You may want to be able to expand now or have a new base year for your operating expenses. There's all kinds of things that need to be considered. So we recommend that you renegotiate, not renew. For more information, contact me, Bob Gibbons, at texastenantrep.com. That's texastenantrep.com. Okay, we're back talking to Jordan and Ash, the founders of Buckbrush. You can go to buckbrushco.com to learn more and to get your sonic toothbrush or your oscillating toothbrush.
Yeah, there you go.
Or
Yeah, my lawyer's right next to me, so choose your words carefully. I get yelled at all the time. He's been kicking me under the table, so.
Yeah, apparently I'm not allowed to be in charge of our purchasing and marketing stuff, and I'm not allowed to let Jordan.
We basically can't say anything. So.
Yeah.
Don't you just love lawyers?
Yeah, I just sit there. Every time Jordan wants to do something, I just see like liability exposure.
That's true.
Jordan equals liability. I got you. All right.
Yeah.
Now that
in
we're
fairness,
clear.
though, I've already had some legal issues with the marketing campaign that we launched.
Yeah, we got a call from some very angry lawyers. They're like I think they're like the either biggest or second biggest law firm in the world, and they called us up and they're talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, I'll talk to my lawyers and get back to you." And,
What was their problem?
someone had called our toothbrush, which I thought was really good. It was like commented something like, "It's like the Dollar Shave Club toothbrushes" on one of our ads. So we used that, and Dollar Shave Club didn't appreciate that. So I think they actually had this law firm has a brand management litigation partner. Which I think it's like a very specific.
Yeah.
I think it basically means she sits on Facebook and waits for us to post this.
Yeah.
And she charged like $970 an hour, and they always say that an attorney that has himself for a client has a fool for a client. Attorney that represents himself has a fool for a client. So I called up one of my friends and that I trusted, and this guy Rob, and we went back and forth on it and said, at the end of the day, look, I think you can win. You're
gonna go broke trying.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really? This is a company that has basically, for practical purposes, an endless amount of money, an attorney who's willing to bill an endless amount, and they know that you don't, and they're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So do you really want to do that or not? And it was funny because when you have something that someone else said, a customer said, it's far more powerful than anything you can say.
Yes.
When we saw that.
Yeah, we saw that, and it was great, and we got that ad probably had the most traction for us, and was the most cost-effective ad for us. It was real hard to let go. It was real sad to let go of.
So somebody, if your customer had gone on social media and posted that, would that have been something that this attorney would have had a problem with if you just left it on your social media, even though you didn't use it as an ad?
Yeah, I think just the post they made was fine. I think it's that we kind of promoted what this person said and put it in quotes and put it in an ad, and it was just super effective because it made everyone realize exactly what our company was.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go back to you do all your testing, you pick the manufacturer you want, you've got your design, so now you have your product. What do you do once you have your product?
That was kind of an interesting point for us because, again, when we started this out, we both knew that we weren't our target market. So it was strange making a product and trying to sell a product to anyone but you, kind of. Like because Jordan and I, when we look at it, I could tell you it's the same way we buy anything else. We'll look at the specifications, we'll look at maybe some reviews. The aesthetics of it, how a toothbrush makes me feel, how it looks sitting in my bathroom, are really aren't
on my list.
important. Yeah.
So you're not the customer because you're engineers?
Just in general, I mean, we tend to go off the technical specs and things that people when they buy toothbrushes probably are not doing. So, the shiny, like right now in shelf marketing or in store branding, matte finishes are like the thing. I forgot. I read a thing about potato chips. And one of the big brands had done A/B testing on the same bag, but one with matte finish versus shiny.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was like 2 to 1. And so we're not those guys. The matte or shiny finish I don't get attracted to shiny objects or matte objects. I'm turning around the back of the box and looking at the RPM and the battery life and all that stuff. But most customers buy on some sort of emotional response, especially at the price point we're at. Quite frankly, if it's a $200 toothbrush, the sales strategy we would use would be more closer to the way we buy, because you're a higher level customer probably. And if you spend $200, you're more likely to research it longer. But when you're buying a lower cost toothbrush, we hope that somebody goes, wow, for $35, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work out for me, one, we obviously have a guarantee. If you don't like it, just send it back. We'll give your money back, no questions asked. But it's $35. It's not the end of the world if this doesn't work out for me. $200 is a car payment. That's a much bigger impact on your day-to-day life.
Not a good car. But.
Yeah. It'll get you from point A to point B. But $35, you can just try it. And so we got to elicit that response where someone's just going to give us a try, because we know they're going to love the product. They're going to love a new head every month. It's something that no other company offers at that price point. It's just a matter of getting them through the door, and a bunch of technical specifications won't do that.
Yeah, we met. It was my cousin's husband had done a bunch of companies, and he had been in the startup world a lot. And we basically went around trying to get as much advice as we can, solicited and unsolicited. And he was the one that kind of first dawned on us, because we were like, no, this thing's definitely going to work, because we have higher RPM than these people and higher battery life and 1/4 the cost. And he was like, that doesn't matter. That's not how people buy things. And it, like, a light bulb went off in our head that, hold on, wait, this isn't engineering. This is product sales. And how does the toothbrush make you feel, and things like that. And it was funny, those first 6 months when we're talking to all the customers, people would send us message like, wow, I'm surprised this toothbrush doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a bonus for them that it was good. And like no one, I wouldn't say no one, but a lot of people obviously didn't research it to say, oh, okay, these are the same vibration speeds, or ours was higher in a lot of cases, in most cases actually, or any of these things. Like, people that wasn't on their list. So it was really, how does this toothbrush make you feel when you buy it or use it, or just like, I guess like most other products, right? I mean, there's a number of products that I think people will identify with that will drive sales. Obviously, Harley-Davidson's like the textbook one of that, right? It's like they never had the best or the fastest or the anythingest motorcycle, but people were tattooing their logos onto their arms and creating a lifestyle out of it.
Right.
I mean, I would love to have Buckbrush be still happy that people are tattooing Buckbrush on their arm.
So maybe we'll have Buckbrush leather vests.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yes,
if you have to educate your customer on your product, you're losing. Like, that's expensive. It means you have to have the eyeballs even longer, and eyeballs are expensive.
So what's your marketing strategy?
Oh, we're still figuring that one out.
What hasn't been?
Clean for sure.
Yeah.
Clean and cost are two of them, because I think that's two things that people. It's certainly how it makes you feel, right? People like feeling clean. People, obviously, they're brushing their teeth, so presumably they want a clean mouth.
But something you're putting in your mouth too. So this toothbrush is something you're literally putting in your mouth, and to most people, that's important that that's clean. And so we're offering them a way to have your toothbrush sits in your bathroom. You poop in there. Your cat jumps on the tail, runs by your toothbrush. Whatever you got going on in your bathroom, hairspray, makeup, whatever. And you might, if you use that thing for 3 months, it means you have 3 months of accumulation of all this gross stuff, and every day you put it in your mouth. So being able to have a fresh head each month is a huge impact on just the cleanliness of your mouth. And so that's kind of one of our marketing pieces is focus on cleanliness, because it's something we can offer that no one else can.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, I don't. Once I get a toothbrush I like, I hang on to that puppy. Yeah. I'm not letting it go.
Yep.
And so changing it out every month? No, I don't do that.
So I'm not a germaphobe at all. Like, I love to work on cars and stuff, so I'll eat a sandwich with greasy hands. I can see the grease prints on my sandwich. Doesn't bother me at all. I'm just that guy. But when I put the new head on every month, I can clearly tell a difference. I didn't notice the deterioration of the head. So again, this is different. It's a tougher sell. That's why we don't focus on this. But when you do replace it after that first month, everyone we've talked to is like, wow, I didn't realize how nice it is to have a new head every month. It actually is really nice.
It wears down very slowly, right? I mean, in theory, you use it 60 times in the morning, at night, right? So I mean, it's not like it's kind of like watching grass grow. It's a very slow deterioration. One of my friends put it as like, he's like, I love it. It's like getting a new pair of socks. It's like, when you get that new socks and everything's like, it's still, the elastic's still tied on it, and you're like, this feels good. It's the same thing when we change the head out. even if it's not for the clean part, I think people are like, oh wow, like this feels a lot better.
Yeah.
The bristles aren't worn out.
So how are you selling the toothbrush now?
What are we doing to market? Just digital strategy, basically.
Yeah. Trevor and Brian.
Yeah, Trevor and Brian.
Trevor, Brian, and prayers.
Yeah.
But
No,
they're
they're doing a
not
great
available
job.
in a store, so it's
No,
only online.
so yeah, our channel. Yeah, so our channel is online only. Quite frankly, the business model doesn't sustain layers of margin stacking, which is good. I mean, I think in general, retail products are going towards that in a lot of ways because it's so much easier to sell direct than it was 15, 20 years ago with the internet and just distribution models. But our focus is on being really efficient in operations for two reasons. One is to continue to make money selling dollar toothbrush heads. Everything has to be super efficient. So we fulfill on our own. We don't use Amazon, anything like that. We do everything on our own. But on the flip side, efficiency is time as well. So I need to have the most time-effective solution for getting that product to my customer so that we can continue to have our day jobs at this point. And at first it sounds short-sighted. Well, that means you're putting your day job in front of this business. In reality, we're setting us up for success long-term because when we start shipping 10, 20, 50,000 of these things a month, 100,000 of these things a month, we're ready. We know what it takes. We know that we're being efficient now. Today, you could ship a few hundred brush heads a month and just do it by hand, go to the post office every week and drop them off. Yeah. That's not how we do it. Because if we were doing that now, we'd have no way to scale. We wouldn't even understand what we need to scale. But by having day jobs, we've been forced ourselves to minimize the time doing non-value added things, which is packing and shipping all this stuff. We know we need control of it for cost long term. So we've gotten the IT process in place and just processes in general in order to do that.
So the only way anybody can buy your product right now is to go to buckbrushco.com.
That is correct.
Can't go to Amazon, can't go to any other place.
Nope.
Okay. So that's cool. I mean, I like that because you get to control your world. You get to control everything in your ecosystem. You're not having to rely on anybody else. So on the one hand, that gives you total control. It also gives you 100% responsibility. And there's nobody else to blame when it works or doesn't work.
Well, we want our customers to know what throat to choke. If they're not happy with the product, we want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And the closer they are to us, and we do respond to all customer service emails. We're small enough now to do that. Hopefully, we can still provide that personal touch even as we grow. But it's important to us that they know that what their feedback is matters, and we care. And we definitely take note of each and every piece of feedback we get and are looking at how do we improve going in the future and things like that.
Yeah, we get Facebook messages, all the time, and even if I responded to it, like it was me, I was on my computer when it popped up, right? For example, I will respond to it and handle it, but I will also send a screenshot of it or tell Jordan to look at it, not because he needs to do anything, but we both feel it's important to really have that finger on the pulse of the customer,
Gotcha.
and it's everything. And if someone didn't get something, we want to be able to go into our facility and figure out exactly what went wrong and why it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to take our last break. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, we are back with Ash and Jordan of Buckbrush. Let me say that again, buckbrushco.com. So go there, order your toothbrushes. You're going to be happy you did. I get nothing from that, so they haven't offered me any commissions. So I'm not just telling you that because I'm going to get money.
At $1 a month, I'm not quite sure you'd be.
Exactly. You get 1/8 of a penny every 10 people. Yeah, that would make no sense. All right, so you guys are obviously still working full time. So are you funding this project 100% out of your pockets? Have you taken investors? How you doing that?
Yes, to both. We initially started out self-funding it, and that's why we originally got together and we kind of made a layout of where we wanted to go. And our original plan was we were going to self-fund it for a while, and if we kept our day jobs, we could do that. If we just put our savings into it, it was kind of, hey, if this is it and we're done. So we both kept our day jobs and kind of worked on this in the evenings and weekends and whenever other time we had. And then it kind of picked up a little faster than we expected, and we were actually getting completely unsolicited calls, friends, family, and neither to say, hey, do you guys need some funding? And we had some meetings, and we originally said no to some people, and then we started realizing that there was a difference.
The trajectory was sharp enough that we had to really start thinking about it. It went faster than we expected. The initial response from people was stronger than we expected.
So can you give us like unit numbers of what that means?
I mean, we sold 300 in the course of a couple of months without a
Not
real.
even. I think we got to 300
Well,
in the first month and a half.
Yeah, we stopped marketing. We'd done some Facebook ads on our own, which we didn't know what we were doing. And I've learned a lot since then. And then we were like, we're going to run out. Because we only bought 300 and some change just to figure it out at first.
Yeah, just test it.
And so we pulled all the marketing dollar spend, and then we like started reevaluating the business. And that's when you're about to start leading into how we actually went after real funding, because we realized that we weren't going to be able to fund the growth. Because no matter how good your business is, unless maybe you're Apple and you're getting crazy margins, you need to have cash to grow, no matter how good the business is. And so we realized the amount of cash at the trajectory we were headed was outside of our comfort zone.
Because you got to practice. I mean, you got to order a bunch of product.
Yep.
And have that product waiting to ship to give your customers quick response.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's a lot of upfront cash, I would bet.
Yep. We ship same day, 2 days. So
so some of the stuff we can obviously overnight stuff, but that gets really expensive, international overnighting. But if we want to do it with the margins we want, it's coming from literally a slow boat. So we're looking at huge lead times, which obviously adds to the amount of cash flow, cash you need to have on hand to keep your business in the black. So we initially started, and we thought those 300 or 400 that we had would last us 6 months or so, and we'd slowly get into it. And after a month and a half, we were like, hold on, we completely sold out of the UV ones.
Yep.
I want to say in the first 3 weeks, which made us feel really good about the cleanliness part, because people were paying more money for the UV one that kept it, sanitized it every time you took it off the head.
So did you find that those first 300 went fast because you'd built a buzz among the people you knew, and these 300 that you sold were all people you knew? Or was there any way for you to tell who was buying it?
I think it was half and half. I mean, if a name came across that we knew, we'd like look it up on Facebook and like, oh, okay, they're friends. But a lot of times it was like a friend that I've been on Facebook that I hadn't talked to for 3, 4, 5 years, right, from college or whatever. It's not like we like actively gave it to them, right? It kind of had its own buzz, and then the other half were people that we didn't know at all.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on the Facebook algorithms. I understand how they work at a high level, and that's why we have White Pants helping us. But the first push we did reached the most people because it was from our personal accounts. And I have 3,000 or 4,000 friends online because of motorsports. So these are people, yes, they technically know me, they don't know me. They follow me because they're interested in what I'm up into in motorsports and things. So I was able to connect with a relatively large amount of people that saw the post. With Facebook, you can post all day long, people don't see it. Because of the way the algorithms work to determine whether that person would want to actually see that. And if it's an advertisement, unless you're paying, they're not going to see it. Right. And so we were able to reach a lot of people once, basically. But and it's not even that many. 3,000 is not that many. If you think about the conversion rate right there, that's very good. And it was larger than that because obviously his friends too. But the point was we realized if we could reach out to someone and communicate what we're doing to them, they would buy it. And it had a reasonable conversion rate. So now, and we're still kind of at that place, is figuring out the most cost-effective way to reach people and explain our story. So if we can very quickly explain what we do and how we do it and the price it is at what it costs, we believe and we found that customers will buy. So I think that's why we saw the jump is not necessarily because they're truly like buddies of ours. Actually, surprisingly enough, still some of my good friends haven't bought the friggin' thing. So it's not that.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a very low-cost eyeball, and we converted all those eyeballs. Now we're trying to figure out how to continue low-cost eyeballs.
Yeah, and relying on friends and family doesn't get you very far. No. I found that out with the show. I mean, when you look at the show and you look at the numbers of downloads and views and blah, 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 all my friends are not. My parents are, my family are not all watching and listening to the podcast and all the rest. So you got to go beyond that to really build a business. So what are you doing? I know with White Pants, what are you doing beyond social media, or is that still the strategy?
Well, that's still a strategy. We've had a lot of suggestions, recommendations, kind of the oral hygienist that we're telling you about that would corner us and tell us we have to sell through dentists. And every time we looked at it, we had to stay focused. It was one of our investors actually told us, is like, hey, you guys need to learn how to sell toothbrushes on the internet. That is your business. Yep. And if you want to run down rabbit trails of trying to sell 10 to this dentist and 20 to that dentist, that's fine, and you might get a couple hundred sales, but this isn't a business where you need 100 customers. It's a business where you need 100,000 customers, you need 1 million customers.
Yeah.
And that kind of focused us a lot when I heard that. I said, yeah, you're right. Like, this is what we need to learn how to do. And once we have that up and going, sure, maybe we can go talk to dentists and add some additional channels, but this is what we need to learn how to do, because if we don't sell toothbrushes on the internet, we don't survive.
So when did Buckbrush actually start? What year, month, whatever?
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I call it.
Okay.
Let's call it February. In February, it'll be 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we started the year prior around about 3 years when we first started talking about it, and that was another point of the business was like we talked about for far too long probably, because I built a business plan, which was Mike Guffrey, a friend of Ashkin's and mine now, helped us with that and take mine to the next level. But anyway, we had a business plan, but it was like there's so many projections and things, it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Like we just need to do it. We have all the resources internal. We know we could do this. How far we'll get, we don't know, but it's not like we're going to hire a product development firm and we need $1 million to go do that. That's internal. We could basically get to the first 6 months on our own money with our own skills, and that's what we did. We just finally said, you know what, we're just going to do this, wrote a check, split it, did it, and then 6 months later, we're pounding along. So
Yeah.
So what's the thing that has most surprised you about the business so far?
I think, we both knew that selling things was difficult, especially to consumers. Both of us have done product development, but it's always been business to business. So
or niche. I've done some motorsport niche market stuff where my customer is so specific, I could almost reach out and just sell to that one person. Maybe exaggerating a little bit, maybe 10 people. But the point was like higher value items that I can touch each customer and sell to them. This is very different. I can't touch each customer. There's no way we'd ever be able to be successful if we did that.
Yeah,
So,
when I was selling a product B2B, it would be, again, we'd look at the technical specifications and say, hey, we have a better product for less money. I feel very good about this. And we kind of knew where it was going to go. And if not, we knew how to fix it. Make it cheaper, make it better, make it stronger, make it lighter, whatever the customer was calling for. You had customer requirements. Whereas when we're doing this, it was just kind of strange that people would talk to you for 15 minutes on Facebook asking all these questions, and they'd say they're going to buy it. And especially in the beginning, you'd just keep an eye out for it, and just wouldn't happen, right? So the dynamic, I think, of selling something to the consumer, even something this simple that we think is a great product, and it's like Jordan was saying, it's not a $200 toothbrush, it's a $35 toothbrush, and one that will presumably save you money. I mean, it's cheaper than buying a new manual toothbrush every month.
How did you decide on the $35? What was magical about 35 versus 75?
So that was an argument back and forth a little bit. So from a financial background, I knew where our gross margins kind of needed to be in order to make this sustainable. And I kind of built out what our operations costs would be over time based on scale, because we obviously can't start raising the price. It's got to stay or go down, of course, over time. So that was kind of it. And then I remember we argued a little bit over that because I think I wanted to go 39, something like that.
I think you wanted to do 45.
Or something like that. And Ashton said, for some reason, I just think 35. And it was in the range of acceptable margins, so it's not like it was out of left field. But and I agree with him. For some reason, anything in the threes sounds a lot better than anything in the fours. I don't know if it, and I'm sure 20 years ago, is anything in the threes is too expensive, it needs to be in the twos. For some reason, and also I don't like $39.95. Like that bothers me a little bit too.
Yeah, it almost There's something about 35 flat. It seemed less gimmicky than like a 39.
Yeah.
And also a part of our goal was really to get people to acquire subscriptions. We're not trying to make money off the handle. I mean, if we could give them away to people at cost when they got the subscriptions, we would love to do that. And that's kind of what we're doing. At the end of the day, with all our shipping and duties and costs that go into it, we really don't make much money off the handle. What we're trying to do is build the subscription base and build our base. And what we found is that when we get someone, they're our best way to acquire another customer. They'll tell someone, or they'll buy one and their family of 2 or 4 or 5, then they'll buy the whole family. And that's really been our best way to get in. So it's kind of its own marketing program by being cheap.
Yep.
So whenever you look down the road 2 years from now, what's the big risk between now and then for you to survive and still be viable and have been growing? What's the big thing you got to overcome?
So I think it's not taking risks is our biggest risk. This is something that we went over with White Pants Agency a lot, and that's why they want to be on. That's why they like working with us. Is I almost call it like a genericide. Like we can't have a boring ad. We can't waste money on something that isn't out there. And I know that when you're bold, you're taking risks. But if we don't, we're done. Like, I mean, we can't just have some boring ad that you just look through over and over again. Right. We don't have the money for that. We don't have the money to just put up ads everywhere.
Stand out.
Yeah, we have to stand out.
And the reason for that, and I agree 100%. That's where I was going to go for sure as well. But it's the competitors. You know, there's plenty of competitors out there right now. They're still a better product at better cost, but they are they have huge marketing budgets.
Yeah.
So we need to be bold.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for being our guest today, Ash.
Thank you.
Jordan, we really appreciate it. Listeners, please go to buckbrushco.com, order yours today, subscribe, and to learn more about the show, please go to thenextlevelshow.com, or you can find us on podcast or YouTube at The Next Level Show as well. See you next week with another great guest.